Hello, and welcome to Chad Evans Entertainment. My name is Chad Evans, and in this video, we're going to talk about how to produce a good sound on the saxophone and how to work on your tone. Now, the saxophone is known for its sound. You'll hear people all the time saying, I love the sound of the saxophone. And that's true, you hear it a lot. I hear it a lot. I work on my tone a lot. I have a pretty good tone. I've been told that they like the way I sound. I'm not the fastest player, I'm not the hippest player, but I do have a good sound on my saxophone. So let's talk about how we get there. Okay, let's talk about that. First, equipment. Now, some of it's due to the saxophone that you're using. So we won't go too deep into the saxophone because that's a big purchase right there. But you can have a good sound on a student model horn. But what we're going to get into is your mouthpiece. Let's talk about the mouthpiece. Now, your mouthpiece contributes to your sound as well. You might get a horn and it came with a student model mouthpiece. I would definitely upgrade to the next level of mouthpiece. Now, your mouthpieces can start and range from $90 to $500. But you don't have to go that far. Don't go to in my opinion, don't go too far with the mouthpiece. $120 mouthpiece or $200 mouthpiece is fine. Okay, you can get a good sound. My mouthpiece costs $150 or something like that. You're right. So you can get a good sound with your mouthpiece. Now, then there are the reeds. Now the reeds. Now this right here. It's a trial and error thing because you may have a mouthpiece that you like and a brand, a reed that you're working with. And say you're using a 3.5 size reed, but you change your brand based on someone's suggestion or your teacher or a jazz camp, and you try this other brand, but you can't play the 3.5 reed. So this brand, you find out that you have to drop down to a 3 to get a good sound. So when it comes to the reed and the mouthpiece, that is something that's a trial and error thing that you're gonna have to just go through that. You just gotta get your mouthpiece, find the mouthpiece that you're going to use regardless, and then start trying different reeds. Hopefully you can get a place where you can just buy 3 reeds or something like that instead of buying a whole box. But that's something you have to just try to go back and forth with. Find the mouthpiece that you like, stay with the mouthpiece for a while, and then start trying different reeds and different sizes of reeds. For example, well, I'll get into that later. But now, the ligature. I must admit, I've been playing for a lot of years. And I went to a buddy of mine's house and we were jamming a little bit. And he had this ligature that was like a gold ring. And I put it on my setup, and my goodness, I've never had an experience of, wow, this is really opening up my sound. And I really like this ligature. So I started investigating and calling other saxophone players and their ligatures and what they're using. So I would say the ligature is where you want to put your money. That ligature, when I've tried several mouthpieces, I've never put on a mouthpiece and went, whoa, this is giving me the sound that I want. But that ligature did. That ligature made me really open up my eyes to something. So the ligature is something that you want to really put some money in on that. Do that. In fact, I don't have it now, but it's being ordered. So now the reed size. And I play on a 2.5 reed. Now a lot of my students was amazed by that because they're playing 3s and 3.5s. But what gives me the big sound is that I put more mouthpiece in my mouth. A lot of players put just a little bit of mouthpiece in your mouth. And what that does, you're not giving the reed the room to vibrate, you understand? So if this is my saxophone, right, and here's my lower lip, and I just put a little bit of mouthpiece in, the reed can't vibrate as much. But if I put more mouthpiece in, notice how the reed has room to vibrate. So now that's something that changes right away. I've had students say, oh, wow, I got a bigger sound. Of course, because the reed is vibrating. Now you might squeak a little bit because you're not used to that, but that will help you with your sound as well. Now, as far as the equipment, let's go to some exercises that you can do. Now you've heard of long tones. Long tones are very good. You want to hold long tones out throughout the horn, not just in the middle register. You want to hold out your lower notes, and you want to hold out your top notes, way up there in the E's and the F. Just hold them out, listen to them, listen to the sound. And when you're doing long tones, just don't play the note. You want to hear the tone quality between the next note up. For instance, you're playing C and then you go to D and it may sound a little closed. So you have to do some things inside your throat to open up certain notes. You want to listen to make sure your tone's not shaking around. So long tones is another good way to work on your sound. Also, when you're doing long tones, you want to do crescendos. You want to blow your horn just as loud as you can get and then bring it down as soft as you can get, just to stretch that out, just to get the anatomy moving, to get that sound going. So long tones are very good. Another good thing is, say you have an etude, some etude with a lot of eighth notes and quarter notes, 16 notes, whatever. Take that whole page of eighth notes and play them. Play every note. Don't worry about the rhythm. Play every note in half notes. Say about a metronome setting 80. Da, da, da. And play throughout the whole thing. And when you're playing it like that, listen to your tone. Make sure your intonation, if your note is going up, make sure your intonation is correct. So you have to do some things to get that together. But that really strengthens your lower lip. Also, when you're doing that, you don't want to bite down too hard. You want to be careful of that and use your corners. So that's another good exercise for your tone. Another one is overtones. Now that's when you're playing like a low C, and then you're playing a middle C, and then you're playing a G. And now let me demonstrate that. So I'm going to play low C, okay? And the octave above that is this. But I'm going to play the octave above that with the low C fingering. Then I went to the G. Now, that is a very good exercise. It really opens up your sound. You want to try to use your diaphragm when you're doing this exercise. You want to practice that with B flat, B, C, and I'd say C sharp. Now you can go above that G, now that fifth to the next octave. You have to be careful there and don't start pinching. Don't start biting down and making smiles and things like that. So I would say just stay right here. Stay right there for right now. And as you get used to that, when you get to the higher notes, you just want to try not to do this kind of thing. That pinching thing, everybody starts to bite. You want to stay away from that. It really destroys your tone. So that's pretty much it on sound. And I guarantee you, these exercises, especially the overtone I just was showing you, the long tones, when you're doing your long tones, tones, do the crescendo and decrescendo. When you decrescendo, you want to make sure your diaphragm is in working order. When you're starting to get soft, don't let that slide. Keep your diaphragm engaged at all times. So that's pretty much on long tones and sound. So let's go over everything. Your saxophone, the type of saxophone that you're using. We don't have sometimes you just don't have a choice in the saxophone because that's a big expense, right? So let's not worry about the saxophone. Let's go to the mouthpiece. Let's upgrade from that student model mouthpiece that you had and go to the next level up. Your mouthpiece should be starting around 120, 150 or so. The ligature, work double time or do some things around the house to get the money for that ligature. Now you can do, there are all type of ligatures. There's all weird wiry ones and all of that. But I've made some, I've looked into the ligature thing and I think that's where it's at as far as changing your sound right away, that ligature. Your mouthpiece and reed, that's something that you have to just trial and error. That may take a few months, it may take a year or so, but you got to try different reeds, try different combinations, different size. This brand, the size will not work with your mouthpiece, so you got to either go lower or higher. You'll find all that out when you start to work on that. That's the equipment we talked about. And then the other thing is the exercises, the long tones, or take a piece that you're working with and play each note at 80 metronome setting, and play them in half notes, da da, and engage that armature. Keep it strong, and then you have the overtones. So I guarantee you, if you do that, you will be happy with your sound. Oh, and don't forget, if you're one of those players that put a little bit of mouthpiece in your mouth, I would say start putting more mouthpiece. If you're in band and the band director say, I need more sound from you, don't buy a harder reed. Put more mouthpiece in your mouth, and you'll see right away you'll have a bigger sound. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.